Matthew chapter 8. When he was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. And behold, there came a leper and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. And Jesus put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus saith unto him, See thou tell no man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them. And when Jesus was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Jesus saith unto him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldst come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me, and I say to this man, Go, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled, and said to them that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And I say unto you, that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus said unto the centurion, Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the selfsame hour. And when Jesus was come into Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother laid and sick of a fever. And he touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she arose and ministered unto them. And when the even was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils, and he cast out the spirits with his word, and healed all that were sick, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, Himself took our infirmities, and bare our sicknesses. Now, when Jesus saw great multitudes about him, he gave commandment to depart unto the other side. And a certain scribe came and said unto him, Master, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. And Jesus saith unto him, The foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. And another of his disciples said unto him, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. But Jesus said unto him, Follow me, and let the dead bury their dead. And when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. And his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. And he saith unto them, Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. But the men marveled, saying, What manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? And when he was come to the other side, into the country of the Gergesenes, there met him two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceeding fierce, so that no man might pass by that way. And behold, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time? And there was a good way off from them a herd of many swine feeding. So the devils besought him, saying, If thou cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine. And he said unto them, Go. And when they were come out, they went into the herd of swine, and behold, the whole herd of swine ran violently down a steep place into the sea, and perished in the waters. And they that kept them fled, and went their ways into the city, and told everything that was befallen to the possessed of the devils. And behold, the whole city came out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they besought him that he would depart out of their coasts. Chapter 8 continues establishing Jesus as a healer of physical ailments, and he healed all sorts of people of any disease out there and any mental disorder too out there. And that's just in my opinion, when they talk about people being possessed and having devils and all that, it's just what today gets talked about as various mental illness conditions. And so the beginning is about a leper being healed, And it's just interesting to me because I remember growing up, lepers were just more of a topic, and you don't really hear people talk about leprosy anymore, but it's interesting that it was a big topic in the Bible, and Jesus healed probably many, many people of leprosy. And when Jesus heals the leper, he tells him to not tell anybody about it. And to me, that's just interesting for a lot of different reasons. I mean, I think it shows Jesus's humility, but to me, it's also interesting that Jesus would give people commands like that he would know that they're going to break it. To me, that's interesting. And also, what comes into play is the Streisand effect. Was Jesus kind of using that too, where he knew that by saying to not tell anybody about it, that the people would even more go out and tell people about it. So those are just some thoughts about that. Another thing that came to mind in these various examples of healing is how the example of the centurion, how he tells Jesus to speak the word only. And the centurion was a good example of having faith because he wasn't saying, "Oh, Jesus, you have to come to my house and heal them." He just said to speak the word only. But that made me think, well, why did the centurion think that why did he even think that he had to say anything? And so it's interesting that different people have different thresholds for what's necessary for healing. And whenever the power of actual spoken word comes up, that's just kind of something that I pay attention to. The centurion knew that the power of Jesus's word was enough to heal. And I think that Jesus could just think about it, doesn't have to say anything. But it's interesting that Jesus can heal from speaking. And then there's other instance where Jesus heals with touch, or even does like a symbolic gesture of mixing spit and dirt. So to me, that kind of stuff is really interesting. Jesus doesn't have to touch somebody, but chooses to do so sometimes. And then all the various people, right? There's the woman who touches Jesus's garment. So it's just interesting that different people have different thresholds, but what's important is belief. And that does come up, that it's about belief. It's the fact that the centurion truly believed that all Jesus had to do was talk about it. It's the fact that the woman truly believed that all she had to do was touch his garment. The garment wasn't important. The speaking the word specifically wasn't important. It's about that these people had faith that was sufficient. And some outer darkness comes up in this chapter. That's always something that comes to mind as something to pay attention to. It's just an interesting concept. Outer darkness. I feel like people always talk about hell, but people don't really talk about outer darkness. That's why I like to mention it when I see it. In this chapter, Jesus says to let the dead bury their dead. And this is also the chapter where there's the tempest at sea. And just one of those details, I'm always on the lookout for details. You can always find a lot of stuff in the Bible when you just pay attention to different details. And I think if you just work your way through the Bible and you're not really paying attention to stuff, you're going to miss out on a lot. So I actually like doing these daily videos of going really slow, like one chapter per day. It's actually nice, and you can pick up on little details. Like the tempest, when the sea goes crazy. So Jesus goes out to a ship with his disciples, and the sea is going crazy. Just a detail that stuck out to me this time that doesn't always stick out to me is, I think it is important that Jesus is sleeping while all this is going on, kind of showing that Jesus is in control even when Jesus is sleeping, that Jesus is above just his physical body. I think that's something that's being shown there. The fact that Jesus is sleeping when the storm is going crazy, and then they go wake him up, and he's like, "What, do you really think that I'm going to allow this to happen?" So that was just something that struck me this time when I read it. And the very last note I have is about the tombs, the so two people, one person, and I agree. So it's the person or persons that are super infected with devils, legion, and Jesus casts out the devils into the swine. So that's what I'm referencing. It's just interesting to note that Matthew mentions two, and in the other gospels, it just says one. And so this isn't my only opinion. I didn't come up with this. This is other people's explanations too. I just happen to agree with it. Two is just bigger than one. If somebody says that there was a guy who talked to Jesus at a certain point, or that Jesus healed a guy, if Jesus healed two guys, it's still true that Jesus healed one guy. And so it's just one of those things where they just didn't mention both of them. Maybe when they healed the two of them, one of them was just more, maybe one of them just kind of was healed and went off to the side, and the other one was more around to be seen. I don't know exactly. I don't think that it means that it didn't happen. And whenever stuff like that happens in the Bible, I think that there's usually just a reasonable explanation for why people said one and other people said two. Well, if it's two, it still was one. It just, there was another guy that the other people didn't mention. And I guess just something that made me think of is maybe that's where the whole meme comes from. You know how whenever there's an event involving scary people with scary weapons doing things, have you noticed that it's like no matter what, they always start out with them saying that there's two of them, and then they switch it later to them being one of them? I wonder if this is kind of the reference that they're taking that from. It's just one of those games that they always do. It seems like they just never get tired of, oh, there's two of them. Just kidding, there was only one of them. So this is just a guess for why they would do that over and over again. Hope you enjoyed the video. God bless everyone.